This week's video has to do with the very first module, the introduction. And that module is geared just to give you an overview of what a golf course hole is, what turf grasses are, and really what I'm going to speak specifically to is the presentation on what turf grass management is. And I guess if that's the one of the words in the title of the course, you should kind of know what it is. And in that presentation I present a few different definitions written by a few researchers and teachers in the area. And actually I took those first two definitions from a couple of books. The first being James B. Beard's book, Turfgrass Science and Culture. And he published this in 1973. I think in my presentation I put the date 1969, probably because that's how long it took him to write it and get it published. And this book actually was the real first comprehensive textbook that was done in the turfgrass area, and even 50 years later it's still considered really the Bible of turfgrass management. And it's a nice copy. Even had him sign it, which is always a nice thing to do if you get the opportunity in class, if somebody's written a textbook, to have them autograph it. Jim Beard actually did his undergraduate here at Ohio State University way back in the day, late 50s, early 60s, and was recruited by Woody Hayes to play football here at Ohio State, but decided to commit to his studies and progress through graduate school and then become a faculty member both at Michigan State and Texas A&M. And is still very productive in the area right now. The second definition, but before I move along, I have to show you, that was one of the newer copies. This is the copy of Beard's book, and as you can see it's had a lot of use. This is the one I bought when I was an undergraduate at Purdue University, taking a similar class that you're taking right now. And this book at that time cost $19.95. Hard to believe, because I think now this book's somewhere in the $150 to $180 range. The second definition I took was from Al Turgeon's book, Turfgrass Management. Al Turgeon was at the University of Illinois at the time when he wrote this book. He published it, the first one was in 1979, 1980. It's gone through multiple revisions. Actually, I think this is the second edition, and this is the most recent one, which would be the 9th edition. And I was a graduate student with Al at the time when he was working on this book. I have nothing but fond memories of Al. I learned what it meant when he said to me, none of my students punch a clock. And if you hear anybody say that, who says, your time is your own and all that, what that means is they expect you to be there 24/7. But anyway, Al was a unique individual. Myself and a few other graduate students at the time nicknamed him Crash. But we didn't have the nerve ever to say that to his face, because Al was like a bull in a china shop. Anything he did or where he went, he was always charging head first into it. Also too, probably got that name to some extent from us because he served in Vietnam. He was a helicopter pilot during the big build-up of 67, 68, and he might hold the record for the number of times he was shot, or a pilot or a helicopter was shot down. He was shot down 4 times. But anyway, just some background on some of the people that write those kind of definitions, and sometimes you forget or lose track that people coming up with ideas are real people themselves.